Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 3:58 a.m. on this absolutely beautiful Friday evening going into Saturday morning. It is 59 degrees outside right now. And, well, I went to bed last night at 10 p.m. Alex has work stuff to do on Saturday early. And so he went to bed really early, and so I got into bed with him because we put on our new sheets and bedding today. I filmed all of that on my Peter Does Stuff channel. And so Tanya had asked me if I wanted to go to the Meijer with her. And I had planned on it, but then Alex had a late lunch appreciation kind of lunch thing for some of this work stuff that he does. So then he went to Home Depot afterwards. I'm telling this all kind of backwards, but whatever. So he got up early today. By the time I was getting my hair cut, he was already, I got my hair cut at 3:15 today. He was already on his way home. And so since we're getting our patio power washed, I think they're coming out Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember. Getting it power washed, sealed, and repainted. We're getting a dog door putting in, not really a dog door, but we're getting a door put on our patio. Just so that the dogs can run around the patio and won't run off of it and things like that. So it's gonna be an actual wooden door. Alex went to Home Depot and they measured the wood and everything and showed him how to put it on. He's actually pretty good at stuff like that. Alex kind of likes to use a power drill. So he is going to put that on there. But one of the pieces that he needed, they weren't finished with it, or I don't know, he left it there. So he needs the other piece because they're going to paint it when they paint our patio. So they can, it'll all just be one color, so it'll look really nice. So anyway, he has to go back there tomorrow and get the other piece, but he was gonna actually put that on there today. So, then it has been so warm that I haven't been sleeping real well because I've been sleeping good, but we've had that cotton flannel duvet cover, the one that I got at the Pottery Barn, that red tartan plaid, and it's just been so warm. And then Alex has been pushing it off and just sleeping with the faux fur, what do you call it, throw. So I was we've got to take this stuff off, wash it, put it away for the winter, and then use the summer stuff because I had bought all this summer bedding that I wanted to use. The windshield is frosting, I don't know why. Oh, because I have it off the windshield. So I was we need to do that, but I knew I wanted to film a video doing it. So I just honestly haven't taken the time to do it. So today, Alex was downstairs and he was feeding the dogs and putting the door stuff outside. And I said, well, while you're doing that, I will go film that video. And then he ended up coming upstairs and helping me with it, which was really nice. So he's in the video too. But I kind of wanted to go. So Tanya had asked me, she was do you want to go to Meijer later? And I was to the Meijer, and I was yeah, sure. We were gonna go about 10 or 10:30. Well, I don't know what happened, but the day just completely got away from me. And with putting videos up and doing stuff, it's so funny because there's a sign, I pass it every single night, and it says bankruptcy by phone, and it's this attorney guy. And every time I see it, he looks like this friend of ours. And I always think it's him, but it's not him. It's this bus bench, waiting bench, and then his picture's on it. But anyway, I'm drinking my Diet Coke in my koozie. I was really craving water. I stood in the bathroom. I have a metal cup in the bathroom now. And I just chugged cold water. So I was so thirsty when I woke up. So I was really hungry tonight, but Alex had eaten late. And they went to this restaurant, George's, which is honestly one of my dad's favorite restaurants. They have really good food. It's like bar food, but like upscale bar food. And so Alex was so excited because they had like chicken fingers and sliders and pretzel bites and on and on and on. Mel, pretzel bites if Mel's watching. But they had all this stuff, and so he loved it. He was so full when he came home. And then he had leftover pad thai that he had gotten the other night, so he was going to heat that up later. So I was craving just pasta, so I went to Noodles and Company and got pasta and garlic bread, and then got a Coke, a real unhealthy dinner, and came home and we watched The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then afterwards I called Tanya and I said, I'm so tired. I said, I don't think I can make it to walk around the Meijer. And I said, I can come. I said, but I'm gonna be like really groggy doing it. So she was like, yeah, no problem, whatever. And so, and then Alex was turning everything off when I came inside and had gone upstairs, so, or was going upstairs. So I went upstairs and I got into bed and we were just kind of hanging out there talking. I was like, I am going to sleep and then get up. My plan had been to get up at about midnight, because that would have been a 2-hour sleep, you know? And I was gonna vlog then, listen to like an hour of my audiobook, because I want to finish it. And then I was gonna come back and I was gonna watch a show outside, because I've made a list. Well, I've kind of been having this ongoing list of shows that I want to watch, and so I was going to come back, and because I really want to get into some of these shows now that it's like nicer and I can sit outside on the patio at night. So I'm gonna do that. I have a list of, I have like 2 movies and like 14 shows. I had downloaded on our trip, on our way back, Nomadland with Frances McDormand, which I adore her. She's like one of my favorite actresses. I think it won like Best Picture and stuff this year. I think she might have won Best Actress. Tanya said it's good, but really, really slow, but that's okay because I like movies like that. The trailer looks fantastic. And then I also want to watch Halston. I watched the trailer for that tonight on Netflix. Tanya just goes on and on and on about that show, or that movie. It's with Ewan McGregor. I didn't know he plays Halston in that. Did you know Halston's from Indiana? He's from Evansville, Indiana. The designer Halston. And then there's another movie that I want to see. And then I have another movie. It was like a scary movie, a horror movie called The Farm that I like rented, that I want to watch that too. So I have like three or four movies that I want to watch. Oh, The Woman in the Window on Netflix is the other one. So I have like 4 movies and like 12 to 14 shows that I want to watch this summer. So far, I'm sure more movies and shows will come out, but right now, that's where I'm at. And I was just looking in my email to see if we had gotten a notice about our pool opening on May 31st. I know my other pool opens on May 31st, so come rain or come shine, no matter how cold it is, I can, well, the pool that I go to with Tanya in the summers, I can go to that pool, because I got a membership there now. But our pool in our neighborhood that is always packed, well, not always, but so the problem last year was they changed all these hours with like the rules that people could be there and stuff, the times. So when I would go up there, it would either be completely dead and empty, there would never be anybody up there if you remember, or it was like jam-packed with people. And they would come and they would bring like, you know, 5 kids. And the other thing is that the pool is not that big. And I love our little neighborhood pool just to go up to it and just sit in the shallow end and drink my coffee and whatever. But I wanted like another option because I'm planning to go to the pool like every day this summer. I really, really am excited about this summer. Before I get into that, I was gonna say, oh, so I woke up, like it's 4:08 now. I woke up at like 3:30 and my back was in like severe pain. And I was like, okay, I was gonna lay there, and I thought, I just kept on tossing, and I was like, I'm gonna go vlog. So, cause sitting up in this position in the car really seems to help my back. So hopefully that injection will help. But anyway, so I had decided that, because it wasn't super expensive to get a family membership at this country club that Tanya belongs to. So then I could go there with Tanya as much as I want, because you only get so many like guest passes, and I didn't want to have to like ask her like, can I come with you today? And I didn't want to be like, you know, I mean, she would have said yes always, but last year, you know, if she wasn't going to go up there, I wouldn't go up there, and I loved that pool. And so I told her, I said, I'm just going to get my own membership, that I can go up there if you're going up there or not. She's like, I think that's a great idea. And she's like, then you can bring guests and I can bring guests, like our sponsor and stuff like that. So I got, ours was cheaper because I just got Alex and I. But I'm excited about that. But that opens May 31st no matter what. So that day I just have to go out there and get my, I've already paid for it and got all the information. That day I just have to go out there and get, like, pick up the membership. I was going to tell you guys the shows that I have on my list. I actually put out a tweet tonight asking people to give me show suggestions. So if you have any other shows, I would appreciate it. I really kind of want like dramatic shows or like mysteries, true crimes, things like that. That's what I love. So on my list is Them, which I'm already 3 episodes in, Cruel Summer, The Good Lord Bird, The Purge, Son of Sam, Fall River, The Woman in the Window movie, Handmaid's Tale, finished 1st season already, Mayor of Easttown, Underground Railroad, Lovecraft Country, which I'm sure the next season is about to come out, Who Killed Sarah, Haunted, Legendary, the new season of Legendary is on HBO Max, Nomadland, Ginny and Georgia, Halston, The Serpent, which looks fantastic as well, and Good Omens. And then what's the one, hold on a second, I need to add this to my list. Little Fires Everywhere, I need to add that to my list too, because I read that book last year. I want to see that. Oh, I also need to put on here Big Little Lies Season 2. God, I'm like way behind you guys on my shows. I feel like I have a lot of Season 2 shows to watch. One of the things I will say about a lot of the shows on my list is that my friend is in Hawaii right now, and he keeps on posting the most beautiful pictures where he and his boyfriend are staying. I've always wanted to go, well, I've been to Hawaii once when I was younger with my dad. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii as an adult, but I don't know that plane ride. He actually posted pictures, because they flew first class. He posted this, he always posts the funniest pictures. He posted a picture of, the no wire hangers when she's coming out of the bathroom and she's got powder all over her face. He has posted a picture of that from Mommy Dearest. But he posted an Instagram story of them flying first class to Hawaii. And so I texted him and I was like, was it super expensive? Because I could do I mean, if I had to fly first class to Hawaii, I could probably do first class. And so I was like, was it super expensive? And he was like, no. He was like, we upgraded it. He was like, but it wasn't too bad. And he was like, and it made all the difference. Because he doesn't like to fly a lot like I don't. You know, I've really, really, really wanted to go to the Maldives. And I also want to go to Fiji and Bali. Those are like 2 of my dreams places. Fiji and Bali are my dream places. Fiji most. But somebody was saying the Maldives are really dangerous the other day when I was talking to them. That's another place that I would love to go to, but like that flight, like I don't like the idea of being over the ocean for that long a period of time doesn't make me excited. I mean, I could do it, but I just wouldn't like it. So I'm thinking for my 50th, because that had been kind of like one of our plans, was to do like the Maldives or Fiji for my 50th birthday, which is a year from now, to depending on the state of the world. But I'm actually thinking about, I want to do something like a really special trip for my birthday. And so I really have wanted to go to the Turks and Caicos for a long time, but it's expensive. So we talked to Melissa and Jason, and we're thinking about seeing if maybe 3 couples could go down there and get a house. And if not get a house there, maybe get a house like in St. Martin or St. Mark's or something like that for like a week or 10 days. The other thing that I found, and it's expensive, but it's a real experience, is the Ritz-Carlton has a cruise line, and it looks like absolutely amazing. But I just don't really have a desire to go and do a cruise. I don't know, there's something about cruises that I would love to either go to St. Bart's or Turks and Caicos. Those are probably trips Alex and I will plan, even if we just don't go for my birthday. And he really wants to go to Thailand. You know, a lot of these places that are super far away, that are like a day's travel and stuff, I would love to go to too, but for me, that travel just is really scary to me. I just don't, like, I don't like the idea of being on a plane that long. Like I said, I could do it, but we'll see. I mean, if I was like, I really wish that we had the money where we could travel and do like the little pods and all that kind of stuff, because I think that would be no problem for me. Like when we flew to Mexico last year and we upgraded our flights and we ended up having those like little individual pods that you could like lay down in and stuff. That was like fantastic. Like I had never been in one of those before. But we didn't know that when we upgraded. It was like, that happened to be because they were using different planes because they weren't flying to Europe, is what the flight attendant told me. They were usually planes they used to fly to Europe, but in the winter, they weren't using as many of them, so they used them to fly to Mexico and the Caribbean. It was really nice. But Alex and I made a decision a couple years ago that, because, I mean, we've always traveled, but not to the extent that we have the last couple years, well, minus COVID, and, or the lockdown, but not like that, like maybe like 2 trips a year, you know, and, we had made a decision. We have a friend of ours that they usually take like 1 major trip and like 1 or 2 smaller trips a year. But like their major trip is to like Peru or Thailand or something like that, some unbelievable trip, right? And they're really into marathons and all that kind of stuff. And he does Ironmans. And so it's usually kind of like wrapped around something like that they're gonna do. Or they go and do very touristy things. I don't have much interest in doing, I know it sounds horrible, but I just don't. I don't have a lot of interest in doing real touristy things. Every trip that I ever took could be on a beach with gorgeous water, and I would be completely fine. Like, if every trip that we took, minus Las Vegas, because I love it, Las Vegas, but if every trip that we took was to some ocean destination where, you know, we had a fantastic hotel room or resort or Airbnb or something like that, and then the beach water was gorgeous, and that was just our go lay on the beach, and I would be completely fine with that. I am mesmerized with the ocean, even though it scares me a little bit. I'm mesmerized with it, and especially crystal clear water that you can walk it out in forever is just like one of my favorite things. So I could, like, every trip that we took, if it was a beach trip, I could do that. Although Alex and I were talking to our friends the other night, Aaron and Eric, about they had done an Alaskan cruise, and I've always heard that Alaskan cruises are gorgeous. I would do an Alaskan cruise just for the experience, and seeing the northern lights and the fjords and all that stuff. And I just heard it, and they were going on and on and on about the cruise. Alex and I both were like, we would do that because it's supposed to be just an amazing experience. And a lot of that environment is changing, which makes me very sad. So I would like to see it, you know, before it's different than it used to be. They said that they sell bears and whales and all kinds of stuff like every single day. So, where am I at on time? But yeah, I don't know, like, I think it has a lot to do with how I grew up too, you know, like, my dad and my stepmom and I, we traveled a lot when I was growing up. My mom and I, not so much, because my mom was terrified to fly. And she also didn't like driving on interstates. So we didn't take a lot of trips when I was growing up. One year when my dad and I went somewhere, my mom went, I don't remember where we went. My mom went to the people that lived across the street from us that she was really good friends with her entire life until she died. Well, the woman's husband died before my mom did, but this is a good friend of my mom's who's still alive. They had a boat in the Bahamas. And so my mom and her friend and her friend's husband and her friend's daughter, the four of them went down to the Bahamas. Like Nassau is where the boat was. And they stayed on the boat for a week, and my mom had like the most unbelievable time of her life. And she had lost a lot of weight, and she was wearing a bikini, and she was so happy, and she just was so excited. It was like one of the best times of her life. She had such a great time. I don't know how she got down there on that flight. I don't know if it was just, she didn't really think much about it. I feel like there was some kind of like situation where she kind of panicked a little bit, that like they told me later, but I don't remember much about it. But anyway, but yeah, other than that, like, my mom and I took a couple road trips, you know, like, well, we would go, and she didn't care if I drove, like, on the interstate. So as I got older, we would go to, like, we went to Chicago for her 60th birthday, stayed at the W, we went with my aunt, my uncle, my aunt, my cousin, and my ex. We went gambling to casinos, we went to, you know, Gatlinburg, but she didn't have a problem if I drove. She didn't like to drive, that was the thing. So we just didn't take a lot of trips when I was growing up. But with my dad and my stepmom and I traveled a lot. And we went to, God, what are all the trips that I took with my dad and my stepmom? Well, we went to England one year for Christmas. That was like an extensive trip. That was like 14 days or something. We went to Oxford, and we spent New Year's Eve in this castle out in the countryside. That was a fun experience. And then we did London, and we just did like all of it. I think I was a little too young to appreciate it at the time, because like the stuff that we went and saw, I just wasn't like that excited about. I remember my stepmom and I had this joke, because when we went to go see like the crown jewels, they're not actually jewels, and we just thought it was going to be like, I mean, it's more like knives and swords and things like that. And we were like, where are the jewels? Where are the jewels? But we still had a fantastic time. I saw Les Miserables in London with like the original cast. That was kind of crazy looking back on it. I don't know that I really even understood what was going on, or that I appreciated it. I think my dad and my stepmom fell asleep halfway through the show. And my dad, one of his really good friends, owns a business, is out of England, and so he let us stay at his place, and we had like a driver for the whole week, which was pretty cool. I do remember that. And we just went all over and saw all kinds of stuff and walked around, and that trip was really fun. And then I went back to London another time with my one of my best friends in high school and college. I'm still okay friends with her today. We talk every once in a while. We actually live like 2 blocks apart from each other. But her dad is from Edinburgh. And, no, her dad is from Edinburgh, Scotland. And so her sister moved there after college because she was a fine arts major. And she painted cells for animation, and she actually was on, I can't remember what the movie was called, but she was one of those. They don't do that as much anymore. It's all on computers now, and she's completely out of that business. But she lived in London, and so we went there and we stayed with her, and she lived around like Camden Lock, and then the last 2 or 3 nights we stayed at a hotel in London. To just kind of have our own time. But that was really, really fun. But that was not a great experience because that was at the height. Well, I mean, it was a great experience because we had a lot of fun. But that was at the height of Peter's drinking. And I had also just come off of having tonsillitis. And so I was on a prescription of Vicodin. And how I got around London drinking on Vicodin, I have no idea. And we literally just went pub, and I was wasted the entire trip. And actually on New Year's Eve, I like left the bar that we were at, the pub, and she couldn't find me. I mean, I look back on this, and this was really, really scary. No cell phones, nothing. I don't know how I found my way back, but I was just wandering the streets of London on New Year's Eve. I have no idea, you guys, how I found my way back to them. To this day, I mean, it's a blackout moment. And I remember her sister was so upset with me the next day. So mad. So, I mean, it's just crazy. I look at that. So did that with my dad and my stepmom. We went to St. Martin 3 times. St. Bart's, one of those trips. Mexico, Cabo San Lucas, once or twice. Cancun, 2 or 3 times, maybe 4. Grand Cayman once. Aruba. That was when I was real young. Hawaii with my dad. Williamsburg, my dad and my stepmom. That was kind of like this Christmas trip thing that we took. There used to be this travel club in Indianapolis that was called Ambassador. I think it may have like restarted again, but I don't know. They had all these trips in there that you could like take, and some of them were day trips, and they always had these mystery trips. They would like tell you what to bring, like, or how long you're gonna stay, but they wouldn't tell you. We also did Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, which my dad still to this day says is one of the nastiest places he's ever been, as far as like the beach wasn't pretty, and he was like, we went to the wrong side, because when my ex and I went to, well, and Alex and I too, when we went to the other side of the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. But when we went, my dad and my stepmom and I, it was like, the water was murky, and we stayed at some resort that my dad was just like so like put off by. And not only that, but the resort put us in, apparently it was like this huge resort, and I was like on one side of the resort, and at the time I was like 10, or no, I would have been like 11 or 12 maybe, and they were on the other side of the resort, and they wouldn't change the rooms, and my dad was like, so my kid is like 11, and he's on the other side of the resort. Like, this is dangerous. Like, he was really furious about the whole thing. Anyway, I do remember that beach, and I remember it being like, the whole resort was more of like campgrounds, I remember. I don't know why I remember it that way, but my dad was not happy. But anyway, and my dad was quick for, like, if we would go someplace and it wouldn't be like what he thought it was going to be like, we would check out and go check in somewhere else. But we didn't that trip. I don't know why. Probably because there was nothing around there that you could check into. But I remember, and part of it was that like my dad couldn't take trips very often. So when he did, he would take extensive trips. It would be like 2 weeks that we would go someplace. So he always would like research places that we would get to that were really nice. Grand Cayman was fantastic. Probably one of the best trips I've ever been on in my life. Why can't I think of some of the other places? Williamsburg we went to. We used to go skiing a lot. My dad and my mom have and my stepmom have a really good friend that has a place on the mountain in Park City, Utah. So we used to go to Utah a lot and ski. We used to go to Colorado a lot and ski when I was growing up too. Went to Vail a lot and skied. Chicago, we went to a lot of trips. I'm looking around the United States. For my 16th birthday, we flew into San Francisco. It stopped. For my 16th birthday, we flew into San Francisco, drove down the coastline, and flew out of Los Angeles. That was a fun trip. I don't remember at the time thinking that was such a fun trip, but like in retrospect, it was. We did Alcatraz, and I don't really remember. We did Alcatraz and some of that. And I don't really remember a whole lot of it, but I remember being there. Isn't that crazy? And like wearing like the headphones, but I don't remember much more than that. And I remember them talking about the sharks in San Francisco Harbor. And I was like, that like really freaked me out because they were talking about like people swimming, you know? And then we stayed at this place that actually I've seen a lot of influencers stay there through the years. Not too long ago, Joey Graceffa's ex, Daniel Prada, stayed there. And this was one of my dad and stepmom's favorite places for like years. And I think it's called Las Ventanas. Or that might be the place in Cabo San Lucas. I can't remember. But it's this place in Big Sur, and it's literally these like luxury cabins in the woods that are like decorated by Ralph Lauren. They're gorgeous, right? And then they have like yoga and Pilates and all these like trails, and you can go to the like the edge of the trail and look over and see like the sea lions and stuff, and it's just amazing. And then like for breakfast they have like fresh fruit and granola and all this crazy stuff, and it's just like, I remember we stopped there because that was like their favorite place. I think that's what it's called. Oh no, it's called Ventana. Las Ventanas is in Cabo San Lucas. That was another one of their favorite places. Ventana is in California, so you can look it up. It's really cool. That was the one and only time I've ever been there. But that would actually be a very romantic trip that like I would love to do today with Alex. I think that would be fun. And then we went to Santa Barbara, because we had gone to see the Hearst Castle, and we were getting tired, and we were supposed to go the next, I can't remember where we were supposed to go and stop, but my dad was like, let's just stop here, and so we stopped in Santa Barbara and stayed overnight. That was fun. I remember we got there, and they had no rooms left at this place that we were supposed to stay. I think maybe we had a reservation there, and they messed up the reservation is what happened, because something happened with the room. I don't remember what it was, but my dad was so tired at the end of that day, and I remember we got there, and they were like, the only thing that we have is the presidential suite, and my dad goes, well, if that's all you have, then that's what we're gonna have to take, or something like that. And I remember we walked into this presidential suite, and it was like like that show Beverly Hills Cop, which I love that movie, which you can watch, by the way, for free on Amazon Prime. All the Beverly Hills Cops. I love those movies so much. But when he walks into that suite, you know, it's like that. I can remember my stepmom and I walked in there, and it was like 4 bedrooms, you know, maybe I don't remember how many bedrooms, but anyway, and it had like a dining room table and this huge, we're like, oh my God, look at this place. But we only stayed there one night, and then we went to Los Angeles, and we stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel because I was like obsessed with like Hollywood and all that culture at that time. Thought I wanted to be a movie star. Didn't know what that meant. And so we stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and that was fun. And I remember my dad and I went into the Universal Studios tour, which that is really kind of a cool thing, actually. I mean, I know a lot of it is like, that's not really like, you know, they don't film the way that they used to film and stuff, but we did the Jaws thing when the Jaws comes out of the water, and yes, I freaked out. My stepmom went somewhere and she got her hair done, and she was really excited about it. That was a fun trip. And then we flew back, and my mom had surprised me with a 16th birthday party with my closest friends, which I did not want. And but she tried so hard, and it was so sweet. And she had my whole bedroom redone in this I kind of had forgotten about this, actually, in this wallpaper. Like, I'd always said that I wanted this kind of I don't really remember how to explain it, how the wallpaper looked, but it was very like I don't think it would surprise anybody today. Like, I wanted the carpet and the bedding and everything changed, and so she did, and she upgraded it, and it was like this very simple kind of like what you would imagine like in a grandma's house. Like, I was going through that phase in high school where, you know, I was like doing all that, and I was very homey, but like very wanting to be a movie star, and I wanted to be a fashion designer is what I wanted to do, you know, and I was sewing every night, but I wanted my bedroom to be very like, I was listening to a lot of old time like radio show stuff and old music, and I was kind of really into that like 40s era. I loved like the whole pinup girl look and all that kind of stuff, and that whole era was very 40s, early 50s was very intriguing to me, and the music of that era, and I listened to a lot of it. And I remember I came home and my mom had my bedroom like kind of transformed into that a little bit. It was very cool. The guest bedroom, which was our TV room, was where like I had my sewing machine set up and stuff like that. What other trips did we take? My dad took me on some fantastic trips, but a lot of the trips that we took, it was Caribbean or ocean trips. And so, I think I just fell in love with the ocean because of that, you know? I remember the first ever time that we went to St. Martin, and that was when the island was not really, like the last time I went, it was pretty touristy. We've stayed in different parts too. So St. Martin, like half of it is French and half of it is Dutch, and we've stayed on both parts. We've stayed on the French side twice and on the Dutch side once. Grand Cass is like the Dutch side where we stayed. And we stayed close to Marigot, which is like the main capital, I think, on the French side. And the first time that we went, I remember when we flew in, we flew in at like 10 or 10:30 at night. And I remember my stepmom and I were in the we were in the very back of the plane. I can remember the plane was kind of empty, and we were like in the very back of the plane, and we were sitting next to each other. My dad was like in the aisle next to us, and she and I were listening to music. Like we were wide awake, you know, and we were listening to music, like where like you could have two plugs, you know, on your Walkman, and we were listening to Billy Ocean, Caribbean Queen. We were like getting down, like it was so much fun. And I remember when we landed, there were like goats and like birds and stuff, like geese, like on the landing strip. And we had to walk out from like the plane inside. And I remember it was like completely like dead. It was like this really empty airport. And we went through customs at like really late at night and got out. And my dad rented this Jeep. And here we are. we stayed in this resort. I think it still exists. It's called La Samana. At the time, it was owned by the wife of, I think, of Von Lindell, the tennis player. Her family, some connection to Von Lindell. This resort was amazing. And to this day, I mean, we literally, like, the room that we stayed in, we had this, like, beach cottage, and it was, like, 2 bedrooms and, like, a living room. And so when you would walk out, you literally, like, you walked out and the beach was 10 feet in front of you. And then there was also a hotel and a resort, and it was called Oyster Bay or Oyster Cove, and there was this restaurant attached to it, and I can remember every day we would go up there and eat, and I would get this little club sandwich that they had, and they had this basil, like, tomato soup, and I was obsessed with it. It was like so good, and oh my god. So, oh, and they lost all of our clothes on that trip. Our clothes didn't get there, so we had to do the very much like the Vacation. Did you guys ever see the movie Vacation back in the day? Where we went and bought clothes. We went in town, and I remember my dad, we went to some store, and he was like, because this town, Marigot, is like this French town, so they had like Esprit, like the store Esprit, and I remember they had like all of these kind of like crazy like brands that like Benetton was there that we didn't have in the United States at that time. So I remember I bought like all of this like really colorful clothes and stuff. It was kind of fun. And I think our clothes like came on the last day or something. I can't remember when the clothes came, but we had fun buying new clothes. So because we had nothing except for like a bathing suit and our suitcase, which is interesting because the first night that we got there and we were checking in, the resort had this huge pool that was like lit up at night, and So my dad was like going to check in and stuff, and while he did, my stepmom and I just went in the bathroom and put on our bathing suits, and we like jumped in the pool. And it was like 12 o'clock at night. And then the resort felt so bad for us because we were getting there so late, and we had lost our clothes and all this kind of stuff, that they like put together this like dinner for us. Like I remember they put together some dinner for us real late at night, like with sandwiches and chips and stuff. And then we got out of there, then we went and checked into our room, and then our cottage. And I remember we ate these like dinners on the beach late at night. That was a really fun trip. That was like a really fun trip. That was where I saw this couple, and I've talked about this on here before, but like where you have those moments in time where just brief moments, but people affect you for the rest of your life. So we went to this resort casino. I can't remember what it was called or what hotel it was, but it was some resort there that was pretty massive. And they had like this huge sprawling casino, and we went there one night, and or stopped there. We went for dinner. We went into town a lot, so maybe it was on the way back. But we were playing roulette, and I don't remember there being like an age limit or something. How old would I have been on that trip? I feel like I would have been maybe 17 on that trip, almost 18. Yeah. So we were playing roulette, and I remember this couple came in, and he was like, kind of had like not long hair, but longer hair, and you know, just kind of like that. Oh, who's the guy? You know, like what's his face on? I was kind of obsessed with that movie at the time. Romancing the Stone. Michael Douglas. You know how his hair was like longer. It was like that, and he had on like jeans and like sandals and like a button-down white shirt, like crisp button-down, but it was kind of, you know, and it just like hanging down, like unbuttoned a couple buttons. And she was gorgeous and looked like Daryl Hannah. And I remember she had this like this super blonde curly hair that looked like it was like soaking wet, and she had just stepped off the boat, and they were like staying on some boat. You know how you create this story for somebody that you don't even know? And she had on this like tube tank dress that was like all white. And I remember they came and they sat like right down next to us, and I just was intrigued with them. They were literally there for like 5 minutes. And I talked to her, I don't really remember what the interchange was, but she said something, but I just imagined that they like traveled the world on this boat, you know? And I just remember like they were playing or something for a couple seconds, and she was so excited, and like they were just those people that when they walk in the room, they just like own the room, you know? And I just was intrigued with them forever. Oh, I do remember she had this like leather fanny pack thing on. It was like this light brownish like leather fanny pack, because I was like, I have to have a fanny pack like that. And actually, I joked about this, something about 1984 and a hiker, but like I remember then in high school was when the fanny pack thing was kind of coming around, and people started really wearing them. And, you know, you'd have your wallet or your pack of cigarettes in there, you know, and maybe some gum and whatever, you know. And I remember she had this like fanny pack just kind of like hung down over her waist. And I sure enough to get a fanny pack. I think I have that fanny pack still in my basement. I should pull it up and see if I have it, because I would love that today. It's just like this brown zippered fanny pack. But I got it there and I brought it back home. That was so cool. That trip was really fun. So my fanny pack game started way back then when I was in high school. I remember I went to high school with this girl, and I feel like that was our spring break, maybe that year or something. We stayed longer than our spring break, but I remember that. And it would have been like her senior spring break. And I remember I didn't know her, but when we got on the plane, she was sitting like in front of us with her parents. And I remember I was like, hey, like I knew her from seeing her at school, but I didn't know her. And it's so weird because like in my head right now, I know her name. Isn't that so weird? And then after that, like, because I can remember thinking she was on our return flight too. And I can remember thinking, that's so weird she's on our return flight, because we were there like an extra week. Like I stayed out of school like an extra week. So they must have been gone that whole extended time too, because we were down there for like 2 weeks. And I can remember thinking, God, that's so weird that they were down here like the exact same time as us. And she and I talked to each other or something, or said something, like waiting for the plane to come back. And then like when I got back like to school, she was always super friendly to me. Remember, she was a gorgeous girl too. And she was like a senior and I was a junior. And she was always super friendly to me. Yeah, we did this Williamsburg like day trip for Christmas, and I was so excited about it because it was like one year that I was like really, I used to get into Christmas like super hardcore. I still do sometimes, but I mean, I was watching all the movies, and there was some movie, I always get fascinated with like a movie and then like everything around it, like Smoky Mountain Christmas with Dolly Parton, thus having to go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee for Christmas. But there was some movie that I had seen where I became very fascinated with like the East Coast Christmas and things like that. And I don't remember what it was, but anyway, so my dad surprised my stepmom and I with this day trip to Williamsburg. And what we imagined for like Christmas decorations and like plum pudding and all this kind of stuff was not what it turned out to be. And it was like the decorations, like we went on this tour of decorations, and it was like each house, each brick house had like a wreath on the door, and then there might be some greenery. We were imagining, I mean, we weren't imagining like a light show, but we were imagining like, you know, take us back to Christmas from years ago. It just wasn't that at all. And then there was like this lunch that we were supposed to go to that was like supposed to be this like old school lunch, and we were excited, you know, it's gonna be plum pudding and this, you know, huge roast beast and all this kind of stuff, and it was none of that. It was just very plain, and it was not the trip that we thought it was gonna be. And I can remember my stepmom and I kept on saying, the Williamsburg sucks as we were walking around. We didn't have a lot of gratitude for that trip. But that was kind of an inside family joke for years. There was another trip like that that we took. I always wanted to go to Boothbay Harbor, Maine. I would love to do Maine, and I should talk to Alex about that. Like Maine and Vermont in the fall. I think that would be a really fun trip. And stay at bed and breakfasts. Back in the day, I had no desire to stay at a bed and breakfast. Like none whatsoever. I just always thought the experience would be kind of weird. I don't know why. But then when Alex and I went to Connecticut a couple years ago, you guys remember I vlogged the whole trip, and he had a training that he was doing there. That experience of staying in that bed and breakfast was so fantastic. And that little restaurant that they had there, and the lemon verbena pancakes, and just every day, like I loved our little room there. And then every day, you know, just getting up and driving around that little town, and it just was, that was such a fun trip. That was probably one of the best trips that Alex and I have ever, well, not one of the best, but that was a really fun, different experience. And, you know, here it is, the red truck is out here, but there's actually quite a few other trucks with people sitting in them this morning. I have to believe that this is because of physical therapy. So anyway, Alex and I have taken some amazing trips. I'm trying to think. You know, last November was really, October was really fun when we rented the house north of Fort Lauderdale. That was a really fun trip. I just wish the weather had been a little nicer. I would love to do that again. What other? The first time that we went to Las Vegas, we had a really good trip, but that was like right before Thanksgiving, and we were there for like only 3 or 4 nights. I would say the next time that we went, which was for our wedding, was the best trip ever, and we were there for 11 nights. We stayed at the hotel at Mandalay Bay for a couple nights, and then we stayed at the Cosmopolitan the rest. We had such a blast. We love Vegas, Miami. The first couple years that we stayed in Miami, when, like, Alex had been down there when he was younger, and so, but we were kind of rediscovering the city together, and we stayed at the Hotel Victor. That was really fun, because the first couple years we stayed there, that, like, Ocean Drive area was very, it wasn't quiet, but it wasn't, like, it gets pretty, like, club life today, like, really loud, and it's packed. Well, I mean, if you saw it on spring break, we didn't go down there at all this last time we were there. But that was really kind of fun, you know, because we would go to dinner and then we would walk around and go to some, like, gelato place, or, you know, go to the little stores that they have, and we would go in there and get, like, you know, Cokes and treats for the room, and then we would come back and watch some TV and fall asleep. And I would watch, like, a movie on the balcony, and our balcony was, like, this big. It was so small. Like, those were some fun trips back in the day. Alex and I used to go to Louisville, Kentucky for day trips. We went down there for our anniversary one year, and we stayed at that art hotel, which I can't remember what it's called now. Shoot. I was going to say the Alexander, but that's in downtown Indianapolis. You know what actually is so funny is, one of the best trips, it's not even really a trip, but for Valentine's Day, when Alex got me, or got us, the room at the Ironworks Hotel right up the street from us, that was so much fun. And you know what? I was watching Hell in the Heartland, and after we went to dinner with Melissa and Jason that night, we came back, and Alex had to work the next morning, so he went to bed, right? And so I stayed in bed, and I can remember I could see out on the street and all the cars driving by, and the next morning we had snow and stuff, and I can remember it, like, just, like, looking out there, and it was so much fun. And I watched Hell in the Heartland, and I can remember I got so scared, but it was kind of fun because I was in the hotel room with Alex and stuff, you know? And then I remember, like, well, anyway, I was going to say the next morning getting up and seeing all the snow outside. But when I drive by there now, and I can see, like, and you can see into people's rooms, you can't really, because you can just see their blinds lifted a little bit, but it reminds me of that night and how much fun that was, because I can remember laying in bed, and Alex, you know, is, like, asleep next to me, and I can look out the window and see the street and see the cars driving by, and there I was watching this true crime show, and I was like, okay, this is so much fun. So, yeah, that was really cool. That was a fun little trip. We need to do that again sometime. Indianapolis has some cool hotels. There's the Bottle Works Hotel that used to be a Coca-Cola factory downtown. There's the Alexander. There's the Conrad. We haven't stayed in any of those, so we need to do that one night. Just for a little fun night. We could maybe do that for 4th of July, but it would probably be super expensive. Because then we're downtown and you can see everything. Yeah, I've been blessed to really have some fantastic trips and experiences. I always try to make the most of it. I always try to, like, read books that take place in that area or have that kind of feel to it, you know? It's interesting because there's not tons of places that I have, like, on my bucket list. I mean, there's places I would like to go to, but not... I'd like to go to France. I'd like to go to Italy, Spain, Portugal. I'd like to go to the south of, like... I'd like to go see, like... just some of these beautiful, like, oceanfront cities, you know, in, like, the south of France or something like that, or Portugal, I've heard is just amazingly beautiful. There was a city a couple years ago that Alex and I were actually, like, if we ever moved out of the country, this is where we would move to, and it's in Portugal, and I think a lot of Americans move there, and it's super cheap, and it's on the ocean, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. And I was like, okay, I could do this. But I just can't even imagine moving from... Hell, I've never even moved from Indianapolis, you know? want to go to like the south of France, south of like, you know, I want to go to like Italy, Portugal. Those are like 3 places I want to go. Greece, I would love to go to. Let's see, where else? There's a lot of places in the Caribbean that I want to go to. Turks and Caicos, Anguilla, I really, really want to go to. I'd love to go back to Grand Cayman and take Alex to see that. It's just absolutely gorgeous at 7 Mile Beach. I'd go anywhere in the Caribbean, honestly. The only place I've ever been that I just wasn't that thrown out with was St. Lucia. We had an amazing room because they booked us into the wrong room when we got there, and it was like facing away from the beach or something, and I was like, no, we booked this like 6 months ago. So they ended up, and we had stayed there right after, we stayed at the same place. I can't remember what it's called now, but that Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown stayed in, and right after we left there this was my ex and I, right after we left there was when Amy Winehouse came and like didn't leave, and that was like the last place she was before she passed away. I can't remember what that resort was called, but it was on St. Lucia. St. Lucia just didn't have beautiful beaches. It just, I think it's more of a volcanic island. We were so excited about it. It just wasn't the dream vacation. Antigua, gorgeous. I would go back there in a heartbeat. I would love to go to Atlantis in the Bahamas, even though I know it's super touristy. I don't care. I'd love to go back to St. Martin and St. Bart's. I would love to go back to Aruba because I haven't been there since I was a kid. Alex and I actually talk about that quite a bit. Turks and Caicos. Where else? I would love to go to, I mean, any island I would love to go to, like St. John, you know, St. Thomas. I haven't been to any of the Virgin Islands. My dad said the ocean is beautiful down there. I'd love to do that. There's so many places I would love to go, you know. I'm totally open to any of those kind of Caribbean experiences, I think. Like I said, anything beach-wise. Put me on a beach with a book and a nap in the afternoon, and I am totally fine. So it sets me free. I know a trip that we went on. I went with my dad and my stepmom that we went on because of a book that I read, a movie that I was obsessed with, and that was Bermuda. We went to because of the movie The Deed. And Bermuda, the island, looks much different than Bermuda in the movie The Deed. I actually just reread that book like last year or the year before I read it, because I don't think I had read it before. But so Bermuda in the movie, they show like part of the town of Bermuda. The battery's going to die here in a second, or I mean, it's going to be at the end of the 30 minutes, and I can't believe that it hasn't died yet because it's at the halfway mark, and I don't think I'm going to change the battery tonight, so when it starts flashing, I'll probably just end this. But they show parts of Bermuda, like the city, when you see people in like literally Bermuda shorts and like polo shirts walking around. Like that part is very true, and it is very, very English, but none of the beaches look like the beaches that you see in the Deep. Like in the Deep, the beaches look like Caribbean beaches. None of the beaches that where we went to looked like that at all. It literally looked like, and I can remember it being kind of cold too. It looked like Michigan, or like what you would imagine like the beach side to look like in England. It didn't look Caribbean at all. And I remember we stayed at some resort that was very stuffy and not friendly. I just don't remember loving that trip. That's all I remember about it. Just not being really like, this is the greatest trip in the world, and being kind of disappointed with Bermuda. My dad and my stepmom were too, I remember that. It was kind of like, well, this isn't what we thought it was going to be. But I'm still glad I went. And I will say, and I'm glad I survived, because I was really worried that we were going to die in the Bermuda Triangle. I really was. I can remember being real freaked out about that. Somebody today said on the video that we posted of our making our bed, because I said we don't sleep with a top sheet, and then we put the duvet cover down, and then we put another blanket on top of the duvet cover, and people were like, okay, so you sleep on top of the duvet cover and then with the other blanket? Oh, no, we sleep under the duvet cover on top of the bottom sheet. Sometimes we sleep with a top sheet, but very rarely, because we end up just kind of kicking it off. And then Alex typically sleeps with whatever the second blanket is. We kind of just like, the main blanket, like, I only need one blanket. He sometimes needs two, you know, so he'll pull that blanket up over him. That's why we have the second blanket on the bed, because he gets really cold at night. I get really hot at night. which is really weird because my husband runs for him all the time. Like if you grab his like arm or hold on to him, like he's really... Okay, it stopped, and my battery is about to die, so I've got to make this really, really short. But anyway, my husband runs hot-blooded. That's what I was going to say. If you grab him, he runs hot-blooded. But what I wanted to say, I just remembered this, while I was like turning the camera off and on. I was like, okay, I've got to say this, is that I said in my video the other day, you know, like I was trying to get a hold of Michael from Pathology. So then I commented on his video and I said, call me. So he called me today and we talked for a long time on the phone, and he and I are gonna do a video this week. So I'm gonna go pick him up one night this week, and we're gonna drive around and we're gonna do a video, and we've got it all planned. And we've got something else that we're gonna talk about that might be, we'll have to see, but another project in the works down the road. So he is such a fantastic guy, and I'm really excited that we're finally gonna do this video together. So yeah, that will be coming this week, and then we're also gonna schedule a night for he and I and Alex and his wife Emily to go out to dinner. So fun things. So fun things. And you know, there's a fellow YouTuber, he vlogs every day still. So I will link his channel below. It's called Pathology. If you want to see a vlogger, I mean, he's almost exactly like me. He just gets in his car and drives around and talks. He's a super nice guy and very smart. And he just comes up with the most interesting conversation topics, so to vlog about. And he and his wife also do this thing called, I think it's called Tea Time on Tuesdays, where they just like talk about random topics. So you should definitely check him out. I will link him below. Pathology, in case I forget to link it. But we're gonna be doing a video this week, and I think I'm gonna put it on my main channel actually. And it's gonna be called something like meeting up with the guy that started the Peter Monn Vlog Challenge or something like that. Anyway, all right, you guys, listen, I'm gonna get off here now. This is a fun little conversation taking me down a memory lane, a memory road, talking about all these past vacations and travels. Makes me excited to get to start doing that again. So, all right, I hope you guys are having an amazing Saturday, an amazing vacation. Don't forget to go check out Peter Review Stuff, where we changed our linens, and I have another review video coming. And the battery is dead. So if nobody else has told you this, today, I love you. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!